Morning troops, no fishing this week, a few chores and work to do, but I still need to prep for some forthcoming trips and the rest of the season. And one of the jobs is to prepare and cook my particles. I'll be cooking up some maize, but I will also give you the soaking and cooking times for other dried particles that you need to use throughout the season. My maize of choice has a little red fleck through it. I place that in a bucket with plenty of headspace and fill it full of water. And I leave that to soak for 48 hours. Now some people just cover the maize, but sometimes it takes on a lot more water than you expect. So I like to completely fill the bucket, that way I haven't got to keep going back and topping it up. So we'll put that in the shed, leave it to soak for 48 hours and we'll come back to it. Well, it's been 48 hours soaked our maize. I've also got some chickpeas that I've soaked as well that I'm going to be using. Break them down, crush them, put them in my spod mix, my stick bags. Obviously they've got to be treated after they've been boiled, you know what I mean, because of the water. You can't go and stick them in PVA, so I treat them with a little bit of oil. But yeah, so we're going to run through the equipment you need. Once you've soaked your particles, they're all the same, you know. They have, as I've said, I'll explain all the different times and boiling times and soaking times, but basically you've got your dry particles, you soak them for a given period of time. Now some people add their additives or their flavourings in the soaking stage. I don't really see the point, because the thinking behind it is it absorbs the kernel, whatever it is, the maize, the nut, absorbs the flavour. But then you're boiling them for, all depending on the particle, you're boiling them for 20 minutes, half hour, 45 minutes. To me, you're boiling them flavours away. So what I tend to do is cook mine. If I want them sweet, I might cook them with a little bit of extra sugar added, but you've got so many natural sugars there, it's not really required. And then what I tend to do is, once my product, whatever it is, has been cooked and is ready to be bagged up, then I add my base flavour or trace or elements or essential oils, whatever I'm adding to that bait to make it more attractive, I add then. That way the particle you've cooked is still quite warm, you know, it's hot, it's just come out of a boiling pot of water, and I'm adding my flavourings to that, and you don't have to add a lot, and you mix it all up together with it, and it's more, I find it more concentrated. That's the way I do it. And then I bag them up and then freeze them. So the equipment you're going to need is quite simple. You need quite a big saucepan. I use one of those big pots, you know what I mean, they're like old 5 litres of water. Make sure your better half is out, so you don't moan at you for stinking up the kitchen, and using a good pots and pans. And then you'll need a sieve. Once you're pouring your particles into your sieve, all the water is draining. I drain it into another bucket and I can retain that water. I'll use it for ground bait or whatever. And then you're going to need obviously some bags to bag them up in. I use large sandwich bags. That way I've got it, so I use one sieve full, makes one bag full. And I've got quite a big sieve. I've been using it for years. So it might look a bit dirty when you look at it. You think, oh, is that hygienic? You know, you're boiling everything. Everything's clean. So you're not eating it, are you? You know, you're feeding it to fish. So everything's good. And you have different. While I'm cooking, I'll explain the boiling times and the soaking times for the other particles. But say at the moment, I'm going to cook up some maize and some chickpeas. So retaining the water you soaked, you want to keep that. Empty your particles into a large saucepan. Make sure you get it all out, waste not, want not. And that bucket sits there. My large sieve sits on the top. I've got a lot of extra water in there, so I'm going to have to take a little bit of that off. And you want to slowly bring that up to the boil. At this stage, you can add some extra sugar if you wish. I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons. Give it a good stir. There's a lot of natural sugars in there in the water. It's already been soaked, so it's going to give it a bit of a boost. And as I said before, I'm also cooking up a batch of chickpeas. And they've been soaking for 24 hours. Yeah, so now we've got a little time to wait for them to come up to the boil. So pot around, do what you like to do. Watch the telly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my sandwich bags out and ready and that. And yeah, so I just got to let them boil. So my maize is going to go for, and it could go anywhere, 20 minutes to an hour, depending. I like them to split up. I'll show you when we've cooked them. And the chickpeas, half hour at the most, and they're ready. Added bonus, of course, if you make double the amount of chickpeas, you can make your own hummus. Right troops, as promised, soaking and cooking times for your dried particles. Hemp, I like to soak for 24 hours and I cook them till they split. They're nice and black. When the white part of the seed is popping out the sides, that's when they're ready. Your tares, again 24 hours, boil for 20 to 30 minutes. If you want your tares to come out black, add bicarbonate of soda when they're boiling. I like to add 2 tablespoons if I'm going to make them, they come out jet black. Or if you want them natural and brown, obviously just neat, just boil them as usual. Your tiger nuts, 24 to 48 hours soaking, depending on how much water they're taking on board, and then you can boil them for 30 to 40 minutes. Once they're boiled, leave them to stand for 3 to 5 days, so you get all that congealed, mushy, syrupy goodness with them. And your party mix or your party blend, whatever you like to call it, all you need to do with that is blanch it with boiling water and let it soak for 10 minutes. There you go, it. Perfect session bag of your prepared maize. Now if you're wanting to go with the PVA friendly option of preparing your particles, slightly different. Once you've boiled them, I wouldn't bag them. I'd sieve them and dry them. Once they're dried, you can either coat them with oil. I find oil's the best bet, an oil solution. You don't have to put mountains of oil in it. Dry them out, let them dry in the sieve. Do 1 bag at a time, let them dry in the sieve. put some hemp oil, corn, steep liquor, or any PVA friendly additive you can buy out from over the counter. Put some of that in your bag, then put your particles in, your maize, or whatever it's going to be, and mix that with the oil. Give it a good mix. Make sure it's all coated. That way it's going to be PVA friendly. Or the other way is to go with salt. But when I'm using a sweet bait like a maize, I don't want it to be salty. But you know, it's entirely up to you. Or of course you could mix it with your pellets and your rest of your stick mix type of mix, and coat that in oil, and that would be, you know, and it would be PVA friendly anyway. So you can make up bags of it, or you can mix it with pellets and other stuff and make it PVA friendly. There's always different ways to go. I mean, you could even dye it if you wanted to. But I like my maize is that maize I just made up there. That's not for carping. That's what I say. That's for me pre-baiting on the drains for me tench and me roach and me rudd and me bream fishing come the glorious 16th. But I like to get it done nice and early. That way, come May, when I start my pre-baiting campaign, a few swims on a few different drains, I'm ready to go. Yeah, then later, mid-May, that's when I start preparing me hemp and me tears for fishing with on the drains. For me carping, I tend to go more of a pellet-based PVA mix. You know, I like to use pellets and crushed boilies for that. Really, I don't use a lot of maize. I don't spawn and spod a lot of stuff out. Some things you have to, and if I'm going to somewhere where I think I need it, I'll make a batch up in the week leading up to it. But that's me prep for me course season on the drains. I get me pre-baiting stuff done nice and early, so I'm ready to go. As soon as the drains around here come up to their summer levels, they're not there yet, then I start trickling a bit of bait in different swims on different drains that I'm going to target in the summer. And there's that stick mix I was telling you about. Pellet, ground bait, broken boilies. Nice and oily. That's got all sorts in there. All a mixture of the crushed up boilies and smaller versions of boilies I use. Ground bait to make the water cloudy. Pellets for the carp to munch about and root for and look for. All good stuff.